Oh, God!
Oh, hi. So, this is awkward. I know I kind of disappeared for a while there and left a bunch of things up in the air on this channel, but I had a good reason for it, honest.
No, don't touch it! Don't touch it!
Yeah, exactly. This hostility isn't necessary. Look, can we just get on with the video? I don't have a lot of free time to get this thing recorded, and I'd quite like to just start listing things. Okay? Okay, cool. Number 10. Right, let's get the elephant out of the room and into appropriate elephant-like accommodation. Spacelines from the Far Out is Overcooked. It's quite a common theme among indie devs that don't want to make a Metroidvania to make an Overcooked, which is fair. It's an easily digestible, endlessly playable, fun with friends hectic experience. You can have a few brewskis, crank up the tuneskis, and raise hell in Overcooked once you're too inebriated to play Smash Bros or Mario Kart anymore. Spacelines is maybe just a notch above all the other clones in the genre though, due to its interstellar bus route theming, which means you have to juggle avoiding meteor showers and making sure gravity goes in the right direction, with making snacks for irrational alien passengers and dancing for their amusement like you haven't been through 4 years of astronaut training. The roguelike nature of the game, which sees you upgrade your ship and juggle your funding, ups the stakes a little, and makes frantically struggling to clean up all the vomit before the health inspector embarks just that little bit more thrilling. This game gets my Wargroove award for adding just enough spice to a shameless clone. Number 9. I was very excited for Core Keeper when I first saw it announced because the mining and base building reminded me of that most holy grail of all 90s throwbacks, Bullfrog's magnum opus, Dungeon Keeper. Well, Dungeon Keeper it ain't, but that doesn't keep it from being a fun game. What Core Keeper actually is a Terraria-adjacent survival RPG deal, where the goal is to collect resources, upgrade your home base, and hunt big boss beasties in the perpetual survival RPG feedback loop of amassing power for power's sake. While the game is still in early access and as of now lacks content for more than 20-ish hours of gameplay, what's there is very promising, and I had a pretty great time exploring the stinky dark caves with a couple of friends back at the beginning of the year. The crafting feels rewarding, the combat is solid, and there's a fishing mechanic which consumed way too much of my time. All in all, it's exactly what you'd want from this sort of game, and I'm hoping it continues to see updates until it can take its rightful place among the Terrarias, Valheims and Minecrafts of the world. Number 8. So I went into Stray determined not to be won over by the cute cat doing funny things, and that resolve lasted all of about 5 minutes. Let's be real, the concept and, for the most part, the story of the game are kinda dumb. The characters feel underdeveloped compared to the world, and the gameplay is mostly just a walking simulator with frills. But as a visual spectacle, an exploratory look into an intriguing future Earth, and a textbook example of attention to detail, this is one of the most impressive games I've ever played. The thing that gets me is the fluidity of the animation. How even when the cat is acting with disturbingly human motives, it slinks and prowls and stretches so incredibly convincingly that it's easy to believe you're watching an actual animal and not a collection of polygons. And the amount of minor interactions, fun little distractions and things to play around with in the hub areas make it almost a shame when you have to move on to the dramatic stealth puzzle sections that bridge the gaps. In summary, the game's middling, but the cat is cute enough to carry it. Number 7. So I'll be honest, this one's pure nostalgia. I love the old Streets of Rage knockoff Turtles games, to the point where I distinctly remember spending a small fortune on powering through the arcade version on holiday with a friend one year. So a new installment in that series, complete with retro-style pixel art, cheesy theme tunes and a combat system which is slightly endearingly clunky but still somehow cathartic fun, was a surefire win for me this year. There is a certain amount of mastery to be attained here if you're into that sort of thing, but button mashing our way through the campaign made for a fun evening's entertainment for myself and some friends. The sort of of dumb couch co-op mayhem that almost feels like a thing of the past in the gaming world these days. And I think that's about all there is to be said here. Shredder's Revenge doesn't break any new ground, but if you love retro throwbacks, then this one's a pretty great one. And they're green! Number 6. You might have noticed that my list so far has been a little backhanded. 4 games that I enjoyed but didn't necessarily rate as particularly amazing. Well, yes, and in the spirit of this slightly barren year for games, I now give you my number 6, Pokemon Scarlet. This game is a buggy mess where the draw distance is about 4 feet, NPCs regularly clip through walls, and the shadows just don't work at all. But still, even despite my usual visceral bodily hatred for open world busy work, I had fun with this game. I like the considerably less linear format. I like the surprisingly poignant story that could only have been truly made or broken by voice acting. I like the return to focusing on battles after Legends Arceus temporarily turned the series into a ball-throwing simulator. I like several of the characters and the use of the gym minigames to showcase their personalities. I even found myself idly attempting to complete the Pokédex for the first time in decades because hunting the little fuckers in the open world is actually surprisingly engaging. Pokemon Gen 9 is a criminal undercooked mess, but it's my criminal undercooked mess. Number 5. I was pleasantly surprised to become a reluctant fan of quirky, somehow more furry bait than its source material, classic Sonic clone Freedom Planet. It was a game that took everything that was great about the original Sonic titles, such as the high-speed set pieces, labyrinthine levels and climactic boss fights, and fed them through a more modern, amplified lens. The sequel ups the ante again, offering up even higher highs than the original. Here, you play through the admittedly slightly overblown story as one of 4 characters, each with their own distinct movesets and takes on intricately designed levels. It's genuinely impressive how broad and open these stages feel, while still managing to funnel you through dramatic set pieces as things explode and cities crumble and giant robots duke it out around you. There's a seemingly endless array of enemies and contraptions and mechanics, culminating in some tricky but fair boss fights which always feel appropriately monumental and skill testing. If I didn't have to sit through quite so much abrasively acted melodrama between each stage, the game would be genuine non-stop fun.
Get on the goddamn door!
Number 4. I have tried to get into so many turn-based strategy games over the years, almost all of them comparing unfavourably to the almighty Final Fantasy Tactics series. The ridiculously named Triangle strategy managed to find a way to keep me invested though, and that was by relegating its functional yet middling combat to a footnote in what feels closer to a visual novel. Frankly, I like this game mostly for its impeccably well-told Game of Thrones-esque political power struggle narrative, its well-developed characters and surprisingly good voice acting, and the RPG, while well-crafted and often deviously challenging, was just something I did to break that up a little. And it has to be said, I don't think I've ever played a game where your choices matter quite so much, with decisions you make as early as the first few chapters making or breaking whole kingdoms and impacting the story insurmountably. For what it's worth, the characters all have distinctive playstyles and uses in battle, and the combat definitely kept me on my toes, but that sure as hell wasn't what kept me going back to the game after work each day. Number 3. So apparently none of my paper-themed convictions are worth a damn anymore. Not only did I enjoy a couple of open world games this year, but I also found myself pouring way too much time into that most foul of all mediums, the mobile game. While my work commute had me trying out a bunch of various names in the sphere, the one I kept gravitating back to time and time again was Vampire Survivors, a simple yet offensively gratifying experience that kept my stupid little lizard brain going back for one more run time and time again. The concept is simple. You pick a character with a starting weapon and a perk and then run around a map while your character auto-fires on hordes of enemies, allowing you to focus on more important things in life, hoovering up experience orbs and picking your next upgrade. There's like a billion weapons and items and characters to unlock, and the steady process of doing so feels way more rewarding than starting with all the options ever could. And there's something just so maniacally enthralling about realising your build is working and witnessing the deaths of hundreds upon hundreds of would-be assailants. The game is living proof that a simple concept done well will always trump the everything burger gameplay mishmash that we often see in the AAA sphere. Number 2. I'm not entirely sure when I changed my mind on Tunic. I played it on the channel, and in the early episodes it's clear that I'm a little underwhelmed and sometimes frustrated with the esoteric Zelda clone I'm playing. But by the end, absolutely blown away. I think therein lies the genius. It begins with the familiar. Explore a dying world, overcome bosses, find your usual host of upgrades and equipment. Dark Souls has basically carved this formula into the unresisting forehead of the games industry at this point. And I'm determined not to get too heavy on the spoilers here because I want you, yes you, watching this video to go play it for yourself. I think a more apt comparison will be The Outer Wilds, another genius game which empowers its player not through regular game mechanics but through player knowledge and the ability to uncover powers you had within you all along. The missing instruction manual pages, the cryptic Tunic language, the intriguing doors and patterns and obelisks, at some point it all clicks and it's genuinely one of the most gratifying experiences you can have while playing a game. Also, the little fox guy is really cute. So before I reveal my number 1, I just want to shout out a few games that will probably dethrone several members of this list when I eventually get around to playing them. God of War Ragnarok, Neon White, Moonbreaker, Last Hero of Nostalgaia. You all look really cool, but my limited time and budget didn't stretch to you this year. Sorry about that, dudes. I can't wait to find out which one of you is this year's Inscryption. Oh yeah, correction for last year's list by the way, Inscryption is better than anything on it. Whoopsie. Anyway. Number 1. Fuck man, why did it have to be like this? I was so determined that I wouldn't blow any more smoke up From Software's arse this year, and there was a lot to not like about Elden Ring. I mean, we can start with the open world. I don't like those. I'd have liked a nice semi-linear experience way more. And the reused boss fights is a bit of a letdown. How many times have we got to fight ulcerated tree spirits, am I right? Let's see, what else? I think the difficulty spikes a lot towards the end, so for the average player like myself, it becomes quite hard to avoid relying on summoned spirits and other cheesy strategies when it comes to fights like Millennia and Radagon and Moog. But still, it's really good, isn't it? The character build options, the world building, the level design, the enemy design, the environment design, the creepy ass characters, the tension building score, the classic FromSoft move of taking completely off the wall ideas and making them believable and intimidating, the fun you can have playing co-op, especially with mods, the horror you can experience playing solo, the lore that goes deeper every time you think you understand it, the amazing feeling of overcoming a boss that you've been stuck on for hours, the fact that they've shown the big boys at Ubisoft and Sony and all those other open world sandbox peddlers how this shit should be done, and they did so pristinely in their first attempt at the genre. The fact that I basically did nothing except work, sleep and play Elden Ring for like a month after it released. I agonised over giving my top spot to Tunic for a long time, but no, it was always going to be this.
Playing as a lord, I command thee.
Alright, list over, go home. I'd like to take a second to make it clear that yes, I am back, and after my usual year-end music list I'll be resuming my long-paused Pathologic and Amber Throne playthroughs, although it'll probably be slightly less regular than previous, and that goes for the channel in general I think. I took a break for a lot of reasons that I won't go into now, but it lasted as long as it did partially because I was a little burned out on recording and uploading every day, so yeah, a slightly more chill Joe going forward I think. But thanks for sticking around anyway, or if you're new here, thanks for clicking the video, and sorry about this waffle at the end. Hope you have a great new year, and I'll see you in 2023. Oh no, I don't know what the deal with the alien bit was all about, it just kinda felt like it. Yeah, see ya.